Nikola Jokic and the ragtag supporting cast of the Denver Nuggets was just eliminated in the first round of the playoffs to the eventual champion Golden State Warriors. But heading into the 2022-2023 NBA season, offensive stars Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are set to return after a combined 9 games last season. And a trio from Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. all finally healthy for a full season with all of them set up for a big role. And with this much offensive and scoring talent on the same court, we are about to see things we may have never seen on a basketball court before. Like and subscribe if you want for the algorithm. The Denver Nuggets have been being built for years, as Nikola Jokic would be selected back in 2014 and during a Taco Bell commercial. During his first season, he wouldn't even play in the NBA, as he'd be in the Serbian League. But after 1 year, he would head over to the NBA, but would have immediate success, as by the start of the actual year 2016, Jokic would have the starting job at the center position and would finish the season with 10 points and 7 boards. That would help him make 2015-2016 All-Rookie team. But the Nuggets still only finished 33-49, and with the 7th pick in the NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets would select Jamal Murray. And the duo of Jokic and Murray would show some flashes, as Jokic turned into one of the best young big men in the league, and Murray would show his scoring ability by making the All-Rookie second team, but was still pretty inefficient. The next season, Jamal Murray would take a big step, as he would jump to 17 points a game as a still slightly inefficient scorer. Jokic would also continue to be a nice young piece, but for the second consecutive season, the Nuggets would be awarded the 9th seed. But the next season, they would break through in a big way, as Jokic would make his first All-Star team, and the Denver Nuggets would make a deep playoff run, their first time in the postseason in the Jokic era. Jokic and Murray would force a Game 7 against the DeMar DeRozan San Antonio Spurs, and what a game that Game 7 would be. The Nuggets would get off to a great first half, and despite the Spurs' great fourth quarter, Jamal Murray would hold off San Antonio and Denver would move on to the second round. Now this second round was historic, as in Game 3 the game would go to quadruple overtime. It's one of the longest playoff games ever. But the Nuggets would lose that game and the series, as Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, starring arguably Portland's best team in the Dame era, would edge out the Nuggets in Game 7, as Jamal Murray would have one of the more rough games. CJ McCollum would drop 22 in the second half to lead a comeback and eliminate Denver. Even with this tough elimination, it was still very encouraging, and what would be maybe even more encouraging is that the next season, Michael Porter Jr. would be making his NBA debut, as in his rookie season, he would still be recovering from a back injury that he suffered in college. But he was a very hyped player as a potential offensive star, and in his rookie year, he showed some flashes of brilliance. And with the trio of Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and now second-time All-NBA center Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets would get the 3rd seed, and what a run it would be. This would be in the bubble, and in the first round, the Denver Nuggets would go down 3-1 to the Utah Jazz, and fans thought it was over. We of course remember the Jamal Murray vs. Donovan Mitchell games. Murray would carry the Nuggets in Game 5 and 6, and in Game 7, Jokic would drop 30, and the Jazz would miss a last-second attempt, as the Nuggets would erase a 3-1 lead. They would then face off against the Los Angeles Clippers, one of the title favorites, and would fall to another 3-1 deficit. Are you really going to doubt these guys? Murray and Jokic led the Nuggets to a Game 7, and in that Game 7, Jokic would drop a huge triple-double, and Murray would drop 40 to push the Nuggets to the Western Conference Finals. Now, Denver would lose to the eventual champion, Los Angeles Lakers, but with MPJ still very young and raw, the Nuggets showed what they could do at not even full strength, but that not full strength would be reminiscent of the next 2 seasons. Now, in the next season, the Nuggets would look very encouraging, with Jokic winning MVP, MPJ taking a big jump as though he was still very raw, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He would jump to a 19-point-per-game score and was extremely efficient as one of the most underrated and efficient scorers in the entire league. The Nuggets would trade for Aaron Gordon as another solid starter, but just over a month later, Jamal Murray would go down with a torn ACL, and that would virtually end all hopes of the Denver Nuggets. We have not seen him play since. The Nuggets will be knocked out in the second round to the Suns, and next season would be even worse. Early in the year, Porter would have another back injury that would eventually keep him out for the year. The Nuggets were not contenders, but that did not stop the Nuggets for helping their future, as Aaron Gordon got his first full year with Denver, and Bones Hyland would show that he may be a nice piece to the Nuggets. And of course, Jokic would win a second consecutive MVP. In the offseason, the Nuggets would make another deal that mainly centered around Denver getting a 3-and-D piece and will earn Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now, yes, this season may have been a lost one, but I truly believe that it will help the Denver Nuggets this upcoming season and could lead to huge success. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were both rumored to return to the court last season. They stayed out and did not push a return to stay healthy, which is looking good. Of course, in Porter's case, you just don't want to make a back injury even worse when he has already had multiple season-long injuries from it. With Murray, his rehab is looking great, and in this day and age of medicine, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets back to 100% in already his first season back. Now this team offensively is going to be scary. With a projected starting lineup of Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic, and what a squad that is. This offense is full of talent with 3 legitimate all-star level talents, and of course one of them being a multiple-time MVP, but all 3 of those players are just able to get a bucket. Murray, Porter, Jokic are all players that if they need to go down the court and get a basket, that's what they could make this team absolutely frightening come end of the game. If you're going to have your best defender or double Jamal Murray, that could leave a mismatch for MPJ. And if you then want to commit the rest of the team or your defense to Jokic, then you have a 20-point per game score that was one of the most efficient scores last time we saw him in MPJ with an easy basket. And if you're able to contain all 3 somehow, you have a great 3-point shooter combined with one of the best passers on the planet. You also have the ability to put either Aaron Gordon, another guy that can score if you need to, and has started to develop a 3-point shot, or young guard Bonton, who's just a bucket getter and a promising 3-point shooter. This team has too many options to stop offensively, but before I talk about the expectations, let's look at the defense, which may not be as good as the offense. Now, a lot of what this defense could hold this season will come to if Michael Porter Jr. is able to take some noticeable steps up on defense, because if not, then the forward duo of MPJ and Gordon could be rough. And even though Jokic is an underrated defender, he's not enough to make up for the mistakes of these 2 forwards. But Jokic's passing is a blessing on not just the offensive side, but also defensively. This playmaking lets the Nuggets put a 3-and-D guy at shooting guard in KCP, who will help this defense tremendously. But even with that, this Nuggets team is not going to hold you to 80 points and beat you in a scrappy game. Rather, this team should be entertaining. Now, the depth of this team may not be great, but with the offense, it'll be tough to contain them to even 115 to 120 a night. So many options, and this team may just outscore everybody. If the chemistry works and everybody is able to stay healthy, then please don't be surprised if the Nuggets make run in the playoffs as one of the best offensive teams of all